Oh, man. All right, take 3. Okay, we are too full of beans today.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We just had fajitas.
Mm-hmm.
Tasty, tasty.
I got a Coke Zero going.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I've got a Monster. Zero sugar. I don't drink them as much as I used to, but I found out there's a guava flavor, and I was like, well, I gotta check that shit out.
Cool. That's stupid. Let's talk about Sesame Street.
Okay, I love Sesame Street.
What you know about Sesame Street? What you know about telling me how to get to Sesame Street? Do you know how to do that? I bet you don't.
So I used to watch Sesame Street like a lot when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. That was like my thing.
What was your favorite part?
The street. No. I don't know. I had favorite bits, right?
Was it the vampire that's horny for counting?
I do like the count censored
was it
on
Barkley,
YouTube.
The dog?
I like Barkley. I do like Barkley.
Was it the giant pinball machine that can count to 12?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Where my Prairie Dawn's at?
No. So we're not really talking about Sesame Street, right? We're talking about Sesame Street's first full-length feature.
Right. We're talking about the thing that every daycare and elementary school showed us.
I had this at home. My mom and dad would record. I know you know this, but I'm telling the pretty little people. Mm-hmm. Oh shit! That reminds me. Cue the music.
Show about pop culture stuff. We keep watching and connected, but it's never enough. Talking with our friends about our favorite things. TV shows and movies and some random swearing. Hey! 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 This is the pretty, this is the little, this is the pretty little podcast.
Hello, all you pretty little people. This is the Pretty Little Podcast. I'm your host, Deadbeat Chad. With me is just Jess.
That's just me. I'm just here.
So, continue.
Yeah. So, no, my parents would make VHS tapes for me when I was a kid, like of various, movies or cartoons or whatever, like back to back. Mm-hmm. My dad would record them.
You must be old.
I am. I will be 41 on Monday.
Nice.
Thank you. And my mom would draw. She's actually a really fucking talented artist. She doesn't draw anymore, but not really. But she would draw little pictures, for me. So that's all, my love for like the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth and things like that. Like that was my childhood, which are also made by the, Henson's like Creature Workshop and stuff like that.
Right.
And the movie we're talking about today, Follow That Bird, was on one of those VHSs. I have such nostalgia for this movie.
Yeah, like I said,
I think it's good.
This is one of those movies. My only experience with this was in school and daycare.
See, I never saw it.
This was like their go-to for sit down and shut up time.
Oh.
They'd turn this on, stick us in front of it, and we just didn't really know what the hell was going on. Because after watching this as an adult, and I haven't seen this movie in forever.
Yeah, not since our kid was
little. The plot of
little.
this thing is fucking wild.
Yeah.
There's like board of
the feathered
avian
friends.
bureaucrats.
The feathered friends.
That have just decided.
Yes.
They have a file on Big Bird. How they have this file. Why they have this file, I have no idea.
I assume someone flew over and spotted him or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they got this file on him, and they're sitting at a board meeting deciding that he's not happy where he's living.
Because he's not with his own kind.
Right, but
he needs to be with a bird family because he's a bird. He should live with a bird
family. And they have just decided
family.
that we are...
They know best.
Yeah, we are the be-all, know-all of how birds live their lives.
Correct. Well, yes, there is a proper way to live.
And he is clearly
that is
not happy
as a bird with birds.
Living on Sesame Street.
He can't be. He's not with his own
no
kind.
Birds there.
That is one of the major themes throughout this movie. Which, by the way,
and so they get this fucking like Karen ass hair.
I told you. No, Miss Finch, not married. Shocker.
Yeah.
No, she has a hair. She has a Karen haircut in like Muppet
But it's
feather.
feathers, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I was like, oh my god,
It
that's,
is perfect.
yeah, that's definitely something that I didn't notice before this viewing.
Right. Well, Karen didn't exist.
Right.
when we were
Yeah,
kids.
but yeah, no. Sesame Street presents Follow That Bird, or simply Follow That Bird, is a 1985 American musical road comedy film.
Musical is loose.
There's several songs.
There's like 3.
No.
Besides the Sesame Street theme song, there's like 3 songs.
No, there's the Waylon Jennings song. There's the song about the star. There's the one you love the best.
The one that made me decide to pick this movie.
Yeah, because
I woke up one day with
this is
that
a Chad
song
choice.
randomly in my head, and I was like,
need
"Hey, we
that
gotta
out
do that
there.
on the podcast."
This is not a Jess choice. This is a Chad choice.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I don't care.
No,
this
I
movie
just saying.
fucking slaps. It goes hard. It didn't have to go that hard. But that's just the type of quality you can expect from children's television workshop.
Well, I think so. It was directed by Ken Kwapis and written by Tony Geiss and Judy Freudberg. Yeah, it's of course based on the children's television series Sesame Street, created by Joan Gantz Cooney and Lloyd Morissette. And like I said, it was the first like feature-length film that is Sesame Street.
Yeah.
There are so many cameos in
I
this
assume
movie.
this went to theaters.
Probably.
I don't know.
I
barely
do
alive.
know. Well, yeah, it's like I said, it's from 1985. So, I know that unfortunately, well, let's see. It was released in the United States on August 2nd, 1985 by Warner Brothers and received mostly positive reviews from critics. However, it was a box office disappointment, grossing $14 million, which is something that you see time and again from Jim Henson's
if it ain't
movies.
Muppets, no one comes to see it.
And that's such a I mean, The Dark Crystal, like, rather famously flopped, and it is my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
But it was too dark and too weird, and people didn't know what
I think Labyrinth
to make about it.
did well.
Maybe.
But that might have had
Bowie.
something to do with Bowie.
Yeah.
And what's her name? Jennifer
Connelly. Sarah. Who is somebody who, as a kid, I understood and empathized with completely. And as an adult, I'm like, God, what a bitch.
Yeah, right.
Shut the fuck up. You have no actual problems, you child. God. Anyways, no, Follow That Bird. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, so that's
It opens with a song, the Grouch Anthem.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's forgettable.
But then there's Bert and Ernie's song about the upside down world. It is a musical. It is a legit fucking musical.
Well, see, when you say musical, I think like song and dance, like everybody's dancing, singing. This is just kind of
That's
songs
like a
in
Rodgers
movie.
and Hammerstein style musical, but that's not always the case. If that was the case, Les Mis wouldn't be a fucking musical. Phantom of the Opera wouldn't be a musical.
I'm never going to buy the fact that this is a musical. I'm just not.
I don't understand that at all.
South Park is a musical.
They literally burst out into song.
No, there's just songs in the movie. The characters might sing them, but they're not like, it's not a production. It's not like a big song and dance
It's not
number
a
with like,
stage musical, no.
No, that's what I think when I think musical. Therefore, you're wrong.
You think wrongly.
We're never going to agree on this. So.
No, and I'm right.
But yeah.
So we should move. See, haha, he said, but yeah. See, listen, he said, but yeah. Right after I said, I'm right.
Like I said, the whole fucking plot to this movie is the fact that this board of birds has decided that Big Bird isn't happy where he's living.
That he can't be. And I mean,
yeah,
it's one of those things where they do have good intentions, right?
Yeah, so
but it's...
They immediately come and snatch him up.
No.
And fucking,
He goes willingly. Miss Finch comes to him.
That's what I'm saying. They go and get him.
Well, but you say snatching up. He does get kidnapped in this movie, but that's later on.
Some trafficking
Bird
going on in
napping.
this movie.
Yeah, oh my
Poor
God.
kids.
Yeah, and there's another fucking song, his sad Bluebird song.
But they just decided they're gonna like ship him off to this.
Yes, the Dodos.
This group of chuckle fucks that like have nothing better to do all day than look for worms because they're not about
birds,
shit.
Okay.
Their house is fucking stupid. They have nothing to their name.
No. They like to work out.
Why they thought the Big Bird was going to be happier there than on Sesame Street is
because
beyond
they
me.
are birds.
Okay, great, but
I'm not saying I agree, but the whole point of the movie, like I said, one of the major morals is it doesn't matter. Like it's very found family.
Yeah.
It is a message of found family.
But it's not as good as Sesame Street. And they got a whole ass Snuffleupagus.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Dude, I
Where
love
else
Snuffy.
are you going to find that?
And don't get me started. You and I were arguing that, well, not arguing is a strong term, but you like about the existence
the
of
fact
Snuffy.
that he's Big Bird's imaginary friend?
He is real. He just is not being able to be seen by many people.
He's not.
There are times when people can see him.
No.
Okay,
they are
listen,
pretending to see
fucker.
him.
All right. So when Snuffy is at Sesame Street and Big Bird is at Sesame Street and they can hug and Snuffy wraps his trunk around him.
Yeah.
And then when Big Bird, after he leaves, he tries to go, like, he goes and lives with the dodos and they're fucking weird. So he's like, peace out, bitches. I'm going back to Sesame Street because they won't let Snuffy visit. Anyways, on his thing, there's a scene where he's in a field and he, like, Snuffy, like, comes to him.
In a vision? Like maybe as an imaginary friend?
No, that we are talking fucking interplanetary, like, travel, right? Yeah, Snuffy is a being of the nth dimension.
No, he's
and
not.
He can't, they try
as
to
cool as
hug.
that sounds and as great as
it is true.
I think that is, it isn't. It's not
It
true.
is. They try to hug, but they can't because he's not actually there. Unlike on Sesame Street.
Because he's not real.
No, he is real. He's just of a higher plane.
He is an imaginary friend, and everybody around them pretends to see him and talk to him. They're just like, oh, yeah, Mr. Snuffleupagus,
That's
huh?
not
That's a great
true,
name
though.
he has.
That's not true. And that would be denigrating to Big Bird.
Why?
To just, placate him?
Yes, the same way you would your kid when they're 6 years old and they have an imaginary friend. It's the same thing.
Did you have an imaginary friend?
I think everybody had an imaginary friend at some
Who was
point.
yours?
I don't remember.
I do. Not yours.
Okay, well, that would be weird. Very weird.
Yeah, and then I say it and you're like, holy fucking hell.
Yeah, I think I went through that phase for like maybe less than a year.
I had an
It didn't
imaginary
last
friend
long.
named Seatbelt.
Seatbelt.
Yeah, he was a kitchen shark.
I remember Apple Jelly.
That's now Apple Jelly Renee Ingram is my Cabbage Patch doll. No, Seatbelt the kitchen shark was my imaginary friend. He lived under the table. And my mom got him a blue leash, or she made one exist in my mind or something like that because he kept jumping up.
Oh, so you said your mom was playing along?
No.
Like maybe the people on
She
Sesame
suggested
Street do?
he could use a leash because he kept jumping up. But she didn't talk to him and be like, oh, hi, Seatbelt. How's it going today? And they don't do that with Snuffy.
It's because she didn't love you.
I mean, fair. I'm unlovable.
All right, so what are we doing here?
I don't know.
What are we really doing here?
I mean, that's the question, isn't it?
I mean, look, it's a pretty straightforward movie. You know, they go to Sesame Street, convince Big Bird that he's not happy there, and he could be much happier with
the dodos,
other birds. Which have
the kids are named Donnie and Marie.
Yeah, they have like this creepy Mormon vibe to them.
They do. They're very Mormon
yeah.
birds. Yeah,
I think it's intentional. Like it's supposed to just be this like.
Well, it is
place that
kind
isn't
of a.
great to be.
It's like even though this is supposed to be my family, I don't fit in here. Even though they're nice, because like they're not mean.
I don't think they're capable of love.
Well, no, I think they do love.
I don't.
I do. I think they love each other. They are.
Family.
No, I just think they're strange, and it's a matter of Big Bird. Even though they're not mean to him, they give him everything. It's not home. It doesn't feel right. He can't connect with these people, even though he's been told that he should more than Sesame Street because they're birds like he's a bird.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you like that they live in a birdhouse?
Yes.
Because I think that's
I
awful.
think it's funny that they live in a birdhouse in a regular ass neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole thing here is that they were supposed to take him to be with his kind.
They did.
And they move him in with one family in a neighborhood full of just regular people.
Correct. But I mean,
so his only interactions here are going to be this family.
Yeah, and I'm guessing
that's not a community.
Oh, well, I think that I don't know, maybe not in that neighborhood, but I mean, it seems like there are just canonically tons of different kinds of creatures and beings in this version of reality that Sesame Street exists in, you know, the honkers and the grouches and the monsters and the people and the, you know, birds, whatever.
Yeah. Also, this movie looks fucking weird.
What What are you talking about?
Well, it's because they're using like actual movie cameras and shit, so it's like it's more theatrical than it is like the show.
I remember thinking it was cool that you got to see more of Sesame Street in this, like different angles, you know, rather than just like the regular set.
I wonder if that's like the actual set or if they built that for the movie.
No, they built that for the movie, I'm sure.
I mean,
it would be too complicated, I feel like, to get the cameras to move around in all of those streets and stuff.
Yeah, I would imagine for the show they only like
it's like a
built
puh
things
and a
that are
huh.
necessary.
Yeah, it's like the road that has like Big Bird's nest and Grouch, Oscar's, you know, trash can, and where Gordon and Susan live in Maria. Yes,
they got a stoop.
They do have a stoop, and then like the little courtyard area, and then Mr. Hooper's store.
Yeah, R.I.P. Mr. Hooper.
Yeah, R.I.P. Bob, who took it over after Mr. Hooper.
R.I.P. a lot of people in this.
Gordon.
Most of these people are dead now.
Is Maria still alive? She might be one of the last ones. I don't remember.
I think she might be.
Gosh.
But yeah, there's a lot. Just so you know, a lot of these people are dead now.
Well, yeah. But
time has moved on.
I will say that growing up when I did, for better or worse, and I'm sure it's different now. I don't know. This is going to sound... Whatever. It was what it was. I had never met a black person until kindergarten. And her name was April. And I remember being jealous of her hair. Because I was like, what the shit? My hair just lays there. Right. And she had all like beautiful. But like Sesame Street, I mean, it was initially developed, from what I understand, for more inner city, like, kids and stuff like that, to give them something like educational to watch that is fun, that does teach them the basics of like writing and reading and you know, stuff about the world and getting along with other people.
Also kind of the reason why, if you look at this, right, there's kids there. Yeah. There's adults there. Yeah. No one is ever referred to as a mom or a dad, with the exception of like, I think Elmo had a mom and dad. And,
that's much later, because Elmo, when I was watching at Sesame Street, was not a major character.
This is more of like a found family situation.
It is very much so.
They never really define the characters as being family.
Yeah, I think Gordon and Susan are married.
Big family.
Gordon and Susan are married.
Okay.
What's her name? Olivia is Gordon's sister. You know, and I think Maria and Luis might be, but for the most part, yeah, it is very much just everybody together. Yeah. And like,
well, then you have also like, you know, the whole like gay analogy with Bert and Ernie.
Oh, I told you, gay icons.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is clearly like,
this today would be called woke, I'm sure, because there's like, well, there's black people and there's Mexicans, there's some kind of Hispanic, there's some white people, like, they're clearly gay coded, you know, but like, it wasn't, I mean, was the integration purposeful? I'm sure, but it was done in a way that you didn't question it. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
I grew up with this stuff, and I do think genuinely that given how I you know, it's not like my mom was racist or anything, but like I just didn't. I wasn't around people who weren't. The idea of white this before school,
just being a neighborhood that is a family, was very smart on their part, because you know, like you said, this was probably made for inner city kids, right? Mostly, I mean. Aside from the fact that it just initially branched out to every kid in the world.
And then, once they saw how effective it was, they put it on like PBS and stuff like that.
Right. But, you know, the city kids, like maybe they don't have a mom. Maybe they don't have a dad. Yeah. You know, maybe they're in a situation where the parents got divorced or whatever the case is. And you're not rubbing that in their face with this perfect idealistic idea of what a family is
style,
that they may not have.
Yeah.
So I think that was
and I think that they so effortlessly all like respect each other, that I do believe it played a role in my shaping my perception of people who look different from me.
Yes, absolutely.
And
just
it's
a little more sympathetic to somebody who might have a disability.
Oh, absolutely.
Anything of that nature. Yes. I mean, there was was it Lydia? Is that her name? The deaf lady? Linda. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they taught sign language and things like that. So like, you know, you were probably going to run into a kid at school that was deaf, and maybe you had a little bit of knowledge on sign language, so you can kind of
Yes. Well, yeah, because one of my other favorite movies as a kid was another Sesame Street movie called Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. And there's a song in there called Keep Christmas With You that to this day, I know the fucking sign language
Right.
because it was in the song. It's like, keep Christmas with you.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
through the year. You know?
So they did a lot of things right.
Yes.
And, you know, at least with this movie aside, because this doesn't feel like Sesame Street.
Well, most
all.
of it doesn't take place on Sesame Street.
Right.
You know, it was the first
too
movie.
narrative driven.
It's a chance to get off the street and put these characters, you know, out in the world and kind of expand that a little bit.
Right. But at least with the television series,
Yeah.
like, you know, they kept things short. They were
Yes.
short, very short segments.
Good for your kids' attention spans.
Yes. You teach them something, within 30 seconds you move on to the next thing you're teaching them. And I don't think anything lasted longer than like
A couple
a
minutes.
minute and a half,
Yeah.
maybe 2 minutes if it was a song or something. But yeah, they nailed the formula for keeping it, because that was an hour-long show that was on, at least here, it was on PBS.
Yeah. Channel
so there
13.
were no commercial breaks.
Yeah.
So it was like a traditional like hour-long thing, like full hour.
And I
you were
watched it
able
religiously.
to sit there and watch it. And they kept 5-year-olds would sit there for an hour.
Yeah. Enraptured.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they
I mean, to
clearly
this
did
day,
something right.
there's times when I will just go on YouTube and find collections of old Sesame Street like clips and stuff.
Yeah, we've done
And
that.
we've done that more than once. And you know,
Just to watch
my
him as
mom
an
remembers
adult,
it.
and then like, you know, teeny little super guy
Hell
pops
yeah!
up, and we get to
Teeny
like
little
fucking
super guy. Yes.
grin our asses off and feel like we're 5 again.
Yeah. There is something so precious to me about pretty much anything that Jim Henson created. I think I mentioned on another episode, I don't remember what or why, but like I far more so than Looney Tunes, I grew up with like Jim Henson, Don Bluth, like that type of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah,
And
I always preferred the Jim Henson stuff just because
It was
like,
always my favorite.
yeah, just puppets were kind of interesting to me when I was a kid anyway.
Mhm.
So if it was a movie with puppets in it,
Well, and
was all
I
about
love
it.
music. There was always a lot of music, you
Yeah.
know, and just fun different things and
But I didn't fully understand, because when like I said, when I was watching this, it was always in like daycare or school, so it
Yeah.
didn't occur to me that this was like everyone went to theaters, or like I could just go
No.
buy a copy of
No.
this to watch at home.
yeah. I only
And-
ever had it at home.
As weird as it sounds, like I don't remember this coming on television when I was a kid either.
I don't think so.
You
I
would
don't
have think
know.
you would think that like PBS would have shown it or something, maybe because Warner Brothers owned the rights to it. Maybe there was some kind of red tape there, whatever. But no, I don't remember ever watching this at home.
No. I'm just trying to see. The film was a critical success upon its release. Oh, it has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. As well it should.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
Look, are you going to get much out of it as an adult? No. But
Well,
if you did
you're not
watch
intended
it
to.
when you were a
You
kid,
either
you'll
watched it as a
definitely
kid
get that kick of nostalgia.
or you show it to your kid.
Yeah.
Whether it like if you're listening out there and you have a young one, I cannot stress enough how beneficial and enjoyable it is. Like, I don't know about what Sesame Street's like now. I can't speak to it. Our kid is 18.
Yeah.
I don't keep up with it.
I don't even know what the hell like a 5-year-old is into these days, but I can tell you this.
Paw Patrol, Bluey.
Here's a little experiment your parents at home can do.
Uh-huh.
Sit them in front of whatever the hell they're watching, and then sit them in front of this movie and see which one of them keeps their attention longer. Because I guarantee you Sesame Street's going to win.
Oh, I see what happened. Despite critical acclaim, the film underperformed at the box office due to having opened the same day as Fright Night and Weird Science, and faced heavy competition from Back to the Future, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Disney's The Black Cauldron, and National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Yeah, that's rough.
I mean, The Black Cauldron was like a famous flop, so I don't know, but
Yeah. Well, and I mean, there's a shit ton of like celebrity cameos in this too.
well, and I feel
They
like
were
a bunch of
clearly
people
trying to sell
who
it.
would be going to the theater to possibly see this would probably go see Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
Like, there's other like
Back to the
kids
Future.
movies. Back to the Future.
Back to the Future was huge.
Yeah, but I'm saying like even like littler kids had different. I don't know. Is Pee-wee's Big Adventure a kids movie?
Yes and no.
It's a when I was a
much
kid
like
movie.
Pee-wee's Playhouse is a kid's show.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, like to me, it is.
Question mark.
But you know, I watched all kinds of shit that was really kind of unhinged as a kid.
The 80s were just like that.
I
know what I
know.
mean? It was like Pee-wee's Playhouse is a great example of like one of those things that, yes, it was made for kids, but as an adult, if you're watching it, you're like, man, this was extremely sexual and full of drug references.
Yeah, it's funny. I like it. R.I.P. Paul Rubens.
Yeah.
We're old, man.
But yeah, back to what we're supposed to be talking about here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Big Bird is now jettisoned into this family that he thinks he wants to be there because he was convinced that being with his own kind was going to be better for him.
I mean, keep in mind, Big Bird is canonically 6 years old.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So,
they mentioned that in the movie. He's a 6-year-old.
He is.
Which, is that like just metaphorically 6, or is that like...
No, he's 6 years old.
In bird years, where he's actually like 100.
No, he is like a human 6-year-old.
Okay.
So think of
going off human
That's
years.
why when he's like, la, 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 la,
mentally,
la,
he's a 6-year-old.
He's like in kindergarten.
Okay.
First grade.
Gotcha.
You know, something like that.
So in bird years, he's like less than a year old.
Yeah, and when she brings up, you know...
Probably why he can't fly.
She maybe so.
None of the birds in this fly. What the fuck is wrong
Well,
with
the
it?
tiny bird does. The one that flies away.
Okay, but
Anyways.
like, I mean, the fucking family they move him in with, they're in a birdhouse in the air.
Well, keep
and
in mind they're stupid, but they
They
are
gotta take
called,
an elevator.
They are the dodos. You know, so they're
Why would they live in a house that's above ground? Dodos don't fly.
Yes, they do. They're also extinct. No, Miss Finch comes and paints this picture of what it would be like. You know, wouldn't you love to have a bird family, like bird brother, bird sister, mommy, daddy, all of that stuff? And he'd never really thought about it before, but he imagines like being around people who do look like him, who might have the same interests, and he's basically a baby. Of course he's going to be like, you know what? Yeah. And maybe, something I do want to say. Everyone on Sesame Street, despite loving him and missing him immediately, fully support him. Right. They're like, if this is what you want, you go and be happy. And they don't go get him until they find out that he wants to come back.
This is where the movie loses me. Because I think the message here is not good.
What?
With Big Bird making the decision to leave and all of the adults on Sesame Street saying, okay, I guess. Like,
well, it's legal. Technically the dodos adopted him.
But they mentioned
there's adoption paperwork.
They mentioned several times that Big Bird is 6 years old.
Yes.
He's been living on Sesame Street. So I guess like there's some kind of like common law thing that somebody there is his guardian.
I really do think that like whoever, like the people that wrote this movie were suddenly like, hey, why the fuck does he, if he's 6, why is he living by himself?
Right.
He's got a nest and everything.
I just assumed that, like, you know, it's Sesame Street. It doesn't really.
I think it doesn't really matter. It's just,
I assumed that, like, the adults there were kind of like his caretaker, and he just decides that he's going to leave with this bitch, and they're like, okay, it's your decision.
Well, but she is representing like a legitimate.
I just think it sends the wrong message to 6-year-olds watching this, that they could actually make a decision like that for themselves when they can't.
Well, I think it's more about the longing inside of maybe. I mean, is he an orphan? Like, what happened to his family?
Not only that, but there's another message here that I don't really care for. When he does decide that, hey, I don't want to be living with this family, I'm going to run away. So he does. Yeah. Like, that's another really bad message to send to 6-year-olds.
I will agree with that. If you don't like where you're living, just leave.
Right.
That I will agree with, but I don't know. I think that him wanting to try it out, you know, I don't mind the first message of like, you know, finding your family. I think more than anything, he came to really value what he had and realizing that, oh no, all of these people, they are my family.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to.
Yes, I mean, this entire movie is just an allegory for found family.
Yeah.
And just community.
But right? I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to see, like, that dream of the perfect, you know, mommy, daddy, brother, sister. they're all like me. So
Yeah.
I understand that desire to find someone like me. Like no one is like
But
me.
you're talking about,
you know, and then finding it, realizing, oh, this isn't really what I actually already had, what I needed and what I wanted all along.
Why would Big Bird even know about that shit? He grew, his entire 6 years have been spent on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
All he knows is Sesame Street.
Exactly.
Which
is
doesn't
why it
have
never
the traditional family structures that we see in day-to-day life.
Well, maybe he learned about it in a book or something like that. I don't know. But I mean, it's made pretty clear in the movie that he never even considered such a life until it was presented to him. And much like any 6-year-old, if you're like given this like, this new idea of something entirely different that awoken, I think, some kind of loneliness in him that he didn't know was there. And normally this is where you'd be like, oh, yeah, I think you're reading too much into it. But I do think that when it comes to Jim Henson stuff, they do think about this level of stuff.
You really could go deep with this movie if you try.
Oh, my God.
On the surface, it is a movie for 6-year-olds, but like they're tackling a lot of fucking heavy shit in this.
Well, yeah, I mean, just again, it used to seriously depress me. His Bluebird song, like once he's been captured by the Sleaze brothers, he's birdnapped. He's straight up birdnapped, and he sings this really sad song. And we did notice something that I never saw before, because obviously I did not watch this on a 4K big as shit TV like I have now. That when he cries, because he does cry a single tear, it's a jewel. It's like a little...
It's like a plastic jewel.
Yeah, that
like
they just kind of... It's clearly like probably on fishing line or something.
Yes.
And they just kind of run it down
his
his beak and down. It is. And I was like, oh, which is really smart, because if it was actual liquid, I mean, his beak's made of fabric, so it would sink in. It wouldn't have that effect.
I mean, it would have had to have been like a computer effect, but even then...
That wouldn't, no.
That was very expensive. And
well, I mean, they could have hand-drawn it, I guess. There was a lot of hand-drawn animation in Sesame Street. And in this movie,
I'm surprised they didn't.
Well, but I thought that was a really clever way to show it, because, again... At CRT TV, you didn't see that shit. I never knew that wasn't a real tear.
No, but it is absolutely a jewel.
And it's a jewel. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I like that. That just, I don't know.
So yeah, they... After Big Bird decides he no longer wants to live with his family, that's when he decides to run away.
Well, yeah. Well, because what happens is he wasn't happy, but he was dealing with it, right? Because he felt this is his life now. But he gets a postcard from Snuffy, who wants to come visit, and they're like, he's not a bird. Yeah, like, what's wrong with you? Let's go get worms. And he's like, well, if Snuffy can't come visit, I don't want to live you guys, I'm a bounce.
I'm about to backflip out of this.
And that is a direct quote. He was very ahead of his time. Very edgy. And so, and then it becomes, he had sent a letter back to Sesame Street to everybody to kind of, like, hey, this is my life now. And there's this one line. It's toward the end of the letter, because Maria...
What's wrong with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, I should be happy. What's wrong with me? Yeah. Jesus Christ, that just hits so deep. Yeah. Like, I have everything, and they just move on to the next scene.
Like, we didn't just fucking read that?
But that is what makes them go, okay.
Yeah,
we are going to go get him.
Yes, we got to get some...
Let's get our boy.
We got to round some people up here.
Hell no.
Who's got a car? How many cars we got? How many people can we cram into these and go on the road and try to get Big Bird back?
That is Sesame Street. That right the fuck there. That is Jim Henson.
You fuck with one of us, you fuck with all of us.
Hell yeah. I mean, even Oscar, he gets the sloppy jalopy and he in his little hat. He's got the little cap, the little driving cap. Yep. And because I mean, Gordon and Olivia and Linda and Cookie Monster are in the yellow Volkswagen, and Maria gets stuck with
Cookie Monster winds up eating throughout the
movie. Over the course of the movie. He eats. He starts off with the hubcaps before they've even left, but then Oscar has Maria and a honker because I guess his horn doesn't work. Yeah. And then Telly. Got Telly in that car.
Yeah, Telly didn't have a whole lot to do in this movie.
Telly doesn't often. He's just kind of...
And I don't like Grover, and he's in it too much.
He is super Grover. He starts out on his own, but then, crash lands into Gordon's car because he sees something big and yellow and thinks it's Big Bird. Bert and Ernie go out in a biplane
Yeah.
to find him. And then the Count. The Count is out there too.
Yeah, he's in his little Countmobile.
Yeah, I like that his license plate is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It's too long.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's too long.
It's exactly right. And Oscar's is Scram.
Where are they getting vanity plates from? Who knows? Who cares?
It's the Grouch way.
Don't you have to pay a monthly fee for those?
Probably.
Or like a yearly or something?
I don't know. I never could bother.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I'd like enough that I'd want to be on my car. I mean, I have stickers and stuff on my car, but like a license plate, I don't know.
I could get one that says deadbeat.
Yeah, that's the message you want to put out. I still don't even get me started on that, man. But yeah, no. So I mean, the bulk of the movie is Big Bird trying to make his way back to Sesame Street, and a bunch of his friends, trying to meet him.
Yeah,
they figure he's gonna end up in a town called Toadstool.
Toadstool.
Yeah, and then Bob stays back. They've got a big map of the U.S. and they're tracking, and they'll call in periodically for updates. So he's at base in case
Big
Bird
is
called or something like that.
CIA levels of
I think that's a bit strong, but they do try and go out and find their friend in the days before cell phones and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's one of the things too. Watching this movie is that was very refreshing is the fact that this is far before technology. You know what I mean? No cell phones, no internet, none of that shit. Social media doesn't exist.
It makes finding someone much more difficult, though.
Yeah, it does, and
it helps if they're a 10-foot tall yellow bird.
Yeah, that does help. But yeah, this movie was made today. They would have just pinged his cell phone, and the police would have went and got him. You know what I mean?
If it was today, they would have called the cops. That's moment.
What I'm saying. They would have just pinged his cell phone, found his location. The local police would have went and grabbed him and got him back home. So
yeah. Well, except they would have taken him back. Don't get me started on the police, because legally they would have brought him back to the Dodos because they legally adopted him.
Yeah.
Although it could be argued, I don't know the logistics of the paperwork. It could be that it was a trial. Adoption, a foster type situation. Yeah, because at the end of the movie, Miss Finch does say, okay, you know what? You're right.
Yep, no one.
You live here. Yes, correct.
You have my permission to be happy now.
Well, I do think she means for the best. I mean, if you find out there's a 6-year-old who's been living on the streets, yeah, you probably want to do something about
Again,
that.
I don't know how they got that information. They had a whole fucking file on Big Bird.
Yes.
Who gave him that information and why?
I don't know. He's not really known for pissing people off.
No.
And I mean, even Oscar, as grouchy as he is, still clearly loves him.
I think it was an inside job. I think somebody on Sesame Street was jealous of Big Bird, and they snitched.
I think it was his teddy bear. Who, by the way, he puts in the mail and we never see again.
What?
Yeah, it's true. He has that little brown teddy bear.
I guess.
He does.
How did I
don't know, because he's talking to him when he leaves the Dodos. He talks to him and says he's sending him bear mail, and he'll see him when he gets back to Sesame Street, and puts the bear in the mailbox. That first evening.
Okay.
When he's going this way and Miss Finch drives up and is just looking this direction because of course they just happen to just miss each other. This is a movie full of near misses.
Well, it's a movie full of nobody has peripheral vision.
Yes, but at the same time it is intended for little kids, and I know as a little kid myself long ago, eons ago when I was young,
I didn't even know
it was very much a he's right there, go turn around type thing. He's right there. Or you see Miss Finch coming, you're like, oh no. Because I mean, there's a point where Big Bird, right before the easygoing kids, he's walking down the road or whatever, and he's like, oh, Miss Finch, oh no. And then just kind of disappears. Again, when the Sleaze brothers, who are Dave Thomas and Joe Flaherty, 2 comedians, from SCTV and stuff like that. That's what I mainly know them from.
Yeah. And the third brother, Chucky, couldn't bother to show up for that either.
Sleaze. Yeah, Sid Sleaze and Sam Sleaze.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the
Hear that, Chucky? You could be talking about Follow That Bird right now. You asshole.
But they have a net and they're trying to, because they own a little like shitty carnival, like sideshow circus type thing, and they want to capture him.
Yeah, it's called the fun fair. So the F
That's
can
right.
fall off and it becomes the unfair.
The unfair. They go around in this truck, you know, with a big cage on the back and a big net. And there's time when he just bends over to look at his feet and the net goes over and they turn around like 2 seconds later and he is gone.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to go sit under that tree. But there's no fucking way. He is that
What is it that Dave Thomas says when he sees Big Bird for the first time? He's like, look at the gams on that ham hock or some shit. I think, honestly, that he's trying... There's like a molest.
No, absolutely not. No. Dave Thomas, you mean? No, and I'll tell you why. Because that would hurt the fucking bottom line, and he is all about money in this movie. He is not going to do anything.
He can still make money and molest.
No.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. I'm molest.
Yeah, when you say it like that, it sounds a little less fucked up.
Yeah, that's why Henry does it.
Yeah.
No, what the hell? No.
It sounds like a fun little time. You're molest.
No, I mean the concept of Dave Thomas molesting Big Bird in this movie. No, absolutely not. Okay. I don't think there's an undertone or anything like that.
I just don't trust adults.
No, I don't either. However, this is Sesame Street world, okay?
Yeah.
Like, no. He will kidnap a child bird and force him to perform on stage. But no, it ain't like that.
Well, and like as a kid watching this, like I thought the reason he was blue was because he was sad.
Yeah, well, the whole point
I didn't know
is
they painted him.
Yeah, well, they show the paint cans.
I didn't pick it up. Okay, but
I got a touch of the tism, and I watched this a lot as a kid, so I know all this shit. It doesn't occur to me that people don't see these things.
No, I honestly thought he turned blue because he was.
He was that depressed. Yes. I mean, honestly, I've been there. You know, you feel that way from time to time. But yeah, well, because the whole thing was that he's supposed to be the bluebird of happiness, right? Yeah. Because
he became the bluebird of unhappiness.
He did at the unfair.
Yeah.
And sings the saddest fucking song.
Because Chucky's two brothers decided they wanted to molest a bird.
That is untrue. And Joe Flaherty is like on the edge of something. He's not all there.
Yeah, he's
he's
definitely like it's just that thing where it's like both of them are idiots, but it's like he's just the dumber one. He's the
child idiot.
Yeah.
Kind of. He just
And I just
okay, no, it's kind of like Of Mice and Men. He's the dumb one. You know, there is always like the smarter, meaner, money hungry one, and not necessarily Of Mice and Men, but like the where did he go, George? You know, and all of that.
Rain
It's
Man.
that same. How dare you? Are you seriously bringing up Rain Man?
Yeah. Yes.
I can't believe you got
told me
there.
not to, so I had to.
Oh my god.
Anyways, yeah, but it's just one of those dynamics where it's like two idiots, and it's just like the blonde leading the blind, you know what I mean? It's that whole like...
Well, Dave Thomas is the one who thinks he's smarter than he is, right? He thinks he's like a master businessman. And
how would these two manage
to
like get to this age?
Well, what I want to know is who the fuck sets up all the carnival rides, because you never see anybody working for them, and there is no possible way they can set up the Ferris wheel and all of that shit, just the two of them.
I think it's a permanent installation.
It is not. They talk about where they are, they're like, oh, this is good enough. We can set up here.
Yeah.
And yet you only ever see their one pickup truck with the cage in the back.
Oh,
and all the tents and all the rides and everything. Who the fuck is setting this up?
Yeah.
Well, are they ghosts?
Who's moving it for them?
That's what I'm saying.
Find another location and then it's
That's what I'm saying. Like, we've watched enough things with like traveling carnivals and shit like that to understand like the number of people that go into like
Carnival is a great show to watch if you want to.
If you specifically want to know how much work it takes to like put up a traveling carnival, yes.
Yeah.
If you want resolution, don't fucking watch it.
No, do not.
That show just ended.
But yeah, so Big Bird's now been kidnapped.
Yeah, at some point.
by the Sleaze
Like, he
brothers.
has different adventures. He helps out on a farm for a couple of days, these two kids, and learns that water comes from the ground, and, they pick apples and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they sing the song. I told you how you got to sing it.
No, I'm not singing it.
Easy going.
Nope.
We'll laugh our cares on. No, I will say something that I didn't know this time.
It's not like the song that doesn't end from Lamb Chop. It's not that level of stuck in your head, but it's up there.
Well, it's for whatever
this song
reason.
Gets stuck in my head all the time.
It does, particularly in your head, because I don't know. It's been a long time, obviously, but you started singing it at some point, like 2 decades ago or something, and I had never known anybody else to like know that movie and sing that song, and I was like, yeah. Are you fucking singing Follow That Bird? And you're like, hell yeah, I am. And I was like, ooh.
Shit rips.
No, something I didn't realize until this time of watching it. Because as a kid, I grew up in Texas, but I did not listen to country music. I didn't know Waylon Jennings is in this movie.
Yes.
And, because I knew the song, but I knew him obviously as the truck driver. And so when we were watching it, I was like, he's probably someone. He definitely sounds like someone. I don't fucking know, man.
And as you were looking it up, I was like, well, if you see somebody in this movie, you're like, they're probably someone. It's because they might be
It's probably a country singer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's Waylon Jennings. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I know that name.
Well, I'm aware of Waylon Jennings, and like, I guess I knew what he looked like, but I didn't.
No mountain you can't climb.
Right. But he's also like, what, 35 years younger?
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
In this movie than I'm used to seeing him, so yeah, I didn't recognize him at all.
I don't know. He has a good voice. I liked I know the song. I remember it. Yeah. It is one of those things of some of that shit was buried so deep in my head because I haven't watched this since our kid, who is now an adult, was very little.
Yeah.
This is like we watched the DVD I bought all those years ago for our kid, because this was something that I was like, I firmly believe every kid needs this movie. Every kid needs actual, classic Sesame Street. So,
like I mentioned earlier, just put them in front of whatever the hell they watch every day, and then put them in front of this.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you this movie is going to hold their attention better than anything else they've been watching.
Yeah.
There's just something about the quality of this, like, to a child, that it's not overly complicated.
No.
Unless you're an adult and you're looking at it and actually paying attention to the undertones and shit.
Like, where the fuck are all the people that are putting up this fun fair?
But there really is some kind of magic in a film like this, and in just Sesame Street in general.
No, I agree. It's special.
And even to this day, like, it wouldn't even occur to a child. Like, your average 6-year-old today has probably played with a cell phone or an iPad.
Sure.
Or a video game console or something.
Mm-hmm.
You could put them in front of this movie and it wouldn't even seem weird to them that there are no cell phones or iPads or video games.
I mean, honestly, they might ask, be like, well, but why didn't you
I don't
just
think
text?
that it would even cross their mind. I think they would just be too involved in like the simplicity of what's going on and how easy it is for them to follow. And just how, there are scenes in this movie that are pretty well done for, just.
You mean like the emotional beats or what?
The emotional beats and just visually, like with Bert and Ernie in the plane. So,
no, during the song with Bert and Ernie, when they are upside down in the plane, Jim Henson and probably Frank Oz, I don't know who does the other one, probably Frank Oz, were actually upside down in a fucking airplane 15 feet off the ground, performing that and singing like as they were doing it. Yeah. Like they're actually there.
Yes.
They are like these two very important people are legit upside down in a fucking plane so they can puppet properly so it looks right. Like that is the level of dedication.
Yeah, I mean,
to this. And I think that's fucking amazing.
It's just incredible, like, what they had to do to make some of these shots.
That's a Jim Henson staple, though, because, like, to Dark Crystal, the Land Striders that they ride, they're the big Kira calls them.
Right.
Those were guys on stilts, and they had to learn to run basically on all fours on these fucking stilts, completely covered where they couldn't see. To carry them. That is the level, again, of dedication.
It's the era of
and crafting.
The art of filmmaking.
Right. Yes.
Right. That was like, the latter half of the modern era of special effects, where up to that point was practical.
Right.
And this was like the epitome, apex.
Well, and it's like the Fireys in Labyrinth that seem to just be there. And really there's guys all in black, puppeting them around.
And shortly after this, it quickly became digital and all looked like garbage. And now we're just stuck with movies that have real people in them that are mostly CG.
I think that there is starting to be a move back toward more practical effects. I think people got all caught up on CG, and then overused it far before they should have. Yeah. There's a lot of garbage out there. But I think that people, I think CG, when used properly and sparingly, can really add a lot. But I think to just completely be nothing but CG, it takes some of the heart out.
Yeah, because there's a lot of hard work and dedication that goes into making the costumes, making the sets, and performing. And when you go through all that as a team, the end result is something beautiful.
Well, yeah,
because you work
it's like how Hoggle was like 3 people. Well, it was a guy in the suit, but it took 3 people to make some of these puppets and stuff work. Like this one does this and this one does this. All these different things working together to bring this
Sesame
to
Street
life.
Puppets required 2 people.
Yeah.
Because one was working the mouth and one of the arms, and they had to have somebody else doing the other arm.
Yeah, sure.
And that's just how these things work. People only have 2 arms.
Yeah, I love the shots of, like Sesame Street or whatever Muppet stuff from further back, where you see all the puppeteers just crammed in together.
Yeah.
And just all looking up, and you can see everybody, all the characters that and love up here doing their thing, but it's really impressive to me to watch them perform, because this is just their medium, but it is a performance, and they are wonderful
it's
actors.
Performative.
Yeah.
It's in a lot of ways it's avant-garde. They pretty much created puppeteering for the modern audience. I'm sure there was rigorous training period to get these people to play these characters, because the puppeteers are the puppets.
And they
are the ones
play
putting
a
personality
bunch of different characters too.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of rigorous training and a lot of trial and error to get these things to work.
Yeah.
And they were all done with a group of extremely dedicated people that were at the height of their craft.
100%. Yes.
And Jim Henson was just the peak of this type of performance. Mm-hmm. And it really hasn't, at least from what I've seen, hasn't been matched.
I don't think so.
And I don't think it's going to.
Jim Henson, Frank Oz, the whole Children's Television Workshop crew, they really...
That's why that Happy Time Murders movie
really created something special. Oh, I won't watch it.
It was just such a...
I don't want to watch that.
A fucking slap in the face.
It's offensive to me, and not just because Melissa McCarthy's in it.
No,
that's offensive enough by itself.
I believe it was written and directed by Brian Henson, and
I think so.
If that's where his mind is going, just let the company die with Jim Henson.
Well, no, just maybe have other people. Well, I know that Brian Froud, who... he's an artist, right? He designed a lot of the looks of the characters for the Dark Crystal and stuff like that. I'm sure you've seen
his
fairy books and stuff like that. He has a very distinctive look. His son, Toby, is the baby in Labyrinth. Toby Froud.
Right.
They are actually working together now. Toby's grown, obviously.
I would hope so.
Toby's my age, pretty much.
Right.
Maybe a couple of years younger, but they, and they are working to bring back some of that type of thing.
Good.
And I like that. I feel like that's good hands. You know, anybody who I don't know, man. I never got into puppets. Like, I never wanted to be a puppeteer. But I would not be at all surprised to learn that these people inspired our generation. Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to, like, you know, at least when this movie came out. I mean, Cat in the Hat, Dr. Seuss stuff would have been really big when this movie came out. You know, it's just
not the movie we reviewed.
No.
Okay, I
No,
was
the
like,
actual Dr.
first
Seuss
of all, you're
books.
like 15 years off, and second of all, what?
But
Yeah.
no, it just goes back to that like there's just something to that era that is just so captivating to a child, and especially, like, you know, for you and me growing up at that time. I mean, it would have been highly influential.
I really do feel I don't use the word blessed because that implies religious shit that is just not for me, but fortunate. I feel extremely fortunate to have been a kid when I was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good time.
To have the things, the entertainment that I had, and to live without all the computers and the cell phones for a while.
Yeah.
I do wish that owning a house was more practical. You know, like that type of shit, that side, not so great about our generation. Like, you know, opportunities and whatnot.
Yeah. Crippling mental health, just anxieties about everything.
General malaise across the world. Not so good. But guys, we had Follow That Bird.
Yeah. Yes, for a brief time in our lives.
For a brief time in our lives,
time.
Everything was easy going. We laughed our cares away.
We did. Every day was an easygoing day.
Easy going.
Our parents were paying the bills.
Yeah. Oh man. But no, there is something special, not just to Follow That Bird, but to, I don't know, man. It really is. All the Jim Henson stuff from the 80s is very, very precious to me and very close to my heart.
Yeah. And, you know, as well as just the actors from the show being in the movie. Yeah. Bunch of familiar faces are here. All of them seem to work extremely well together. I have no doubt in my mind that these people were not, like,
they were not
friends.
Yeah, sure.
For the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like the puppeteers and whatnot?
I mean, just
or in general, like John Candy and
No. I mean, like the actors from Sesame Street.
Oh, you mean Gordon and Maria and them?
Yes,
all
of those guys. I can assure you, they've kept in contact.
Well, a lot of them are dead now,
right?
But yeah, well, whether they're
can't fake that.
No, well, I was just gonna say whether they are just really good actors, but I don't see that they have a genuine care.
Yeah.
All of them across the board.
No one in this movie, with the exception of a few of the kids, feels like they're acting.
Well, the kids are just kids. Some of them look right at the camera.
Exactly.
And others are like,
but they are so natural together that
but
all of it comes off as very.
It kind of makes me emotional. I can't figure out if it makes me happy or sad, but like that time in which like all of them were completely, and God, please don't let anything come out after the fact, but you could trust them. They were adults that you could look up to and trust.
And there was that, iconic moment on the show because the actor who played Mr. Hooper had passed away, which is why the character was no longer there.
Right.
And the cast took the time out to sit and explain to Big Bird
because
he's dead.
He didn't understand what death was.
And you can see like the actors in that scene.
Oh God, I'm getting upset thinking about it. It's so powerful.
Talking about Mr. Hooper, who was,
and Big Bird
part
being,
of the show.
The kid. It's like, but why?
And
but
again,
when is he coming back?
That's just something that you can't fake it.
Yeah.
Like that is an authentic moment in history on this show for kids that not only explained something that is very important for kids to understand.
Yeah.
But also helped them get through it as well.
It's cathartic for them and help them process.
Pay homage to the character.
Yeah.
And give them their moment of R.I.P.
Yeah.
And
it's not like he just disappeared and was never mentioned again.
I highly suggest all of you listening just go look for it on YouTube. You can't miss it.
If you want to get real fucking sad, watch Jim Henson's funeral.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that
I am like genuinely tearing up right now.
Yeah.
Like
when I heard Jim Henson pass, that was definitely
it's still
a
very
moment in my
upsetting
life
to me.
that I remember
and
right
I
where
was
I was
a kid.
You know?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's just something to,
especially since he didn't need to fucking die.
There's just something to like, and not just this movie. I mean, Sesame Street in general.
Yes.
The movies are okay. The show is always
sure.
better
it's
than
not like
the movies.
It's
that have
not
been put
like
out.
a top 10 greatest masterpiece of all time.
Right.
But
there's a lot going on here that is technically good.
I'm sad now.
Technically well done.
Yeah.
It's performed extremely well.
Right.
All the actors are doing their job.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to go this hard for something.
For a public access show movie, yeah.
Because I genuinely believe that everyone involved with the production of Sesame Street actually gave a fuck about what
believed in it. Yes. I think they saw what they were building, the import that they could have, and it meant something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I agree.
It absolutely comes out in the end product.
Yeah.
I could say that Sesame Street is probably one of those few things in life that have consistently performed above the bar.
Yep. And there's funny shit in this too. There always is in Sesame Street. You know,
yeah.
It's not even really a drama necessarily. We've kind of been focusing on like the heavier hitting emotional beats, but that's also because it's kind of rare to see in children's entertainment.
Oh yeah, we don't dare tackle these issues anymore.
That thing you were talking about with Mr. Hooper's death and all of that, like I know there was when was it? I don't remember if it was when they put Sesame Street on HBO or what, but there was people wanted that gone because they didn't like that, you know, that was being addressed, and there was a whole lot of outrage against like, how dare you remove that?
It's like the fucking remake of Bambi that's coming out. Like they're just not going to kill the mother.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, one of the
that's the whole point of Bambi. What are you talking about?
Well,
not the whole point.
It wasn't the whole point, but like that was a big deal. Like kids need to understand. I mean, Mufasa in Lion King dies. Like,
yeah, R.I.P. James Earl Jones.
Damn it. But yes, I mean, that for me is like one of my greatest moments in television history, as far as I'm concerned, is that scene where they took the time out to like, you know, just give respect to the fact that this happened.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like the audience watching are probably going to wonder where he is too.
Yes. And rather than just replacing him with something and acting as though he never existed.
Right.
They addressed it.
Exactly.
In a very respectful, thoughtful, and easy to understand as best as you can explain death, you know?
Well, in the 80s sitcoms and shit, they always had the special episode.
The bike shop.
The bike shop and Different Strokes.
Yeah.
That type of shit. And this was Sesame Street's moment. And I think they fucking did it better than anybody else.
I agree.
Period.
I agree.
So, what do you think of this movie?
I think there's a lot we didn't talk about, but that's okay. This movie... I mean, we didn't even talk about the tossed salad.
Look, at the end, he gets back to Sesame Street.
No, he does. He does.
Miss Finch decides that he's happier there.
Look, I do need to... one thing that I do like, okay, so, like, he's the bluebird of unhappiness. He's been kidnapped. They all track him down. They break him out. But the Sleaze brothers like take off in the truck with the gates open, so he's in the back of the truck, and you know Gordon gets on the front of the Volkswagen, trying to get him to jump. Yeah. And he's like, Big Bird. It's such 6-year-old behavior because he's like. Gordon's like, jump, come on, because like the VW is right behind the truck. He's like, come on, I'm right here. Just come to me. It's okay. And he's like, Gordon, I can't do it. I shouldn't even be standing up. Like the truck is moving. I can't do that. And Gordon's like, you have my permission just this once. Now come on. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. that's a good moment.
I like Gordon's like, no, it's okay this once. Okay, come on. Fucking goddamn it. Because in that moment, Gordon has like such legit frustration on his face.
Yeah.
But he's also on the front of a fucking moving car going like, can we come on, please? No, there's so much heart here. There is, like, you and I watched this, and yes, we watched it when we were younger. But we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, I didn't.
And we're in our early 40s.
Look at it this way. Like, there's plenty of movies we've covered on this podcast that, like, I just dreaded the whole experience. I did, like, Cat in the Hat was one of them. I fucking hated watching that movie. I hated talking about that movie.
Hey, the Mew was here, though.
That's fine, but, like, you know, these two movies that are supposed to be in the same vein,
for
right?
Kids,
they're supposed to be made for 6-year-olds, and one of them was done way better than the other. You could probably guess which one that is. And I would much rather watch Follow That Bird 100 more times than some of the movies we've covered on this show.
Yeah. No, I think that children's entertainment is really hit or miss. I don't think that Jim Henson is the only good children's entertainment out there.
Of course not.
But I do think it is the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. Because
it's a standard at all, and that's enough. Like, the bar is so low these days for kid shows anymore. Holy shit.
I maintain Blue's Clues was good. That was much later. You know, there are other good things that teach kids important lessons and skills and stuff like that. But there's something special about Sesame Street.
Yeah, but there is just a fair amount of dumb shit out there.
Oh, no. Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I know.
They provide no...
It's just shut the kid up. It's not making noise. Distract with colors and pretty pictures.
Yep. It's noise and color.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
It's not moving or talking.
So I can go work from home while you watch TV. Yeah. But yeah, I think this movie, like, as far as kids' movies go, I mean, it's definitely up there for me. It's one that I remember fondly as a kid. Like, the fact that I remember it all, you know, as an adult
that still
now,
blew my mind.
I'm still waking up some days with the songs stuck in my head.
Of all the songs,
as an adult.
like, you do. You will just randomly burst out into easygoing.
It really does say something about, you know, just
the longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just how it is able to reach children on a level that a lot of things can't.
I hope that things like Follow That Bird in particular, or the older episodes of Sesame Street, still do, like, live on. Like, it's not all Elmo, you know?
Yeah,
I feel like that there's a strong possibility of things like this and Christmas Eve on Sesame Street, the older things, of kind of getting left behind and forgotten about.
Yeah.
But I will say, because there's a lot of famous people in this movie, right? There's other people we didn't even fucking talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But
Chevy Chase, John Candy.
Yeah. Sandra Bernhard is in the Grouch diner.
Yeah.
Sesame Street has a very long history of different celebrities, music guests, like, coming on and, you know, doing a skit, being a part of it for a time. There is this big sense of community, and, you know, that's present here through the different stars, you know, that play tiny little roles, right? And I mean, for me, I knew Dave Thomas and Joe Flaherty as the guys from Follow That Bird. You know, it wasn't until years later when my dad was watching SCTV, I was like, oh, hey, that's the assholes from Follow That Bird. Like, that's who they were to me. Do need to point out that John Candy does play another cop.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I have to do that too? Yes, I was on that episode for Nothing But Trouble. Mm-hmm. And we had even, while we were watching it, you and I had created different ways in which that could, in theory, be the same character.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Because we were even talking about, he even threatens to take them to the judge.
Yeah.
He just says
he does.
to the judge.
I was like, you can easily cut that into Nothing But Trouble.
Absolutely go straight to Dick Nose, because like it is not out of the realm of possibility that Dan Aykroyd could have shown up as a judge, you know, he knows all these people.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Dan Aykroyd had a cameo in Sesame Street.
I'm sure he did at some point. He's
Robert
not in
Williams
this.
There's tons.
No, tons and tons and tons of celebrities and musical guests and all of that will come and and sing a song with a Muppet or something like that. You know, it's a special thing. In a way, it's kind of like being on The Simpsons, right? It's like a sign of
exactly.
I've made it. Like, look at this shit.
I'm doing The Simpsons. I'm doing Sesame Street.
Yeah, like that's incredible.
That means something.
Most of the people I've seen who have talked about it are like, I got to be on Sesame Street. I met Oscar the Grouch. This is incredible.
I got to sit next to and have a conversation with Cookie Monster.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Even now as an adult, that would be awesome.
Dude, fuck you. I would be there in a heartbeat. Hell yeah. Even though a lot of them are dead now.
Yeah, right.
Son of a bitch.
So yes, I suggest each and every one of you embrace your inner child. Watch this movie. Go on YouTube and watch some old Sesame Street.
Yeah, man.
Especially if you haven't in a long time. Like, a lot of that stuff still holds up.
Oh, it's fun.
For sure.
A lot of the cartoons, like the animated segments, the different
amount
songs.
of shit that you just forgot.
Oh,
As soon as you see it again, you're just like,
it unlocks shit in your brain, man. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, I guess we can call that an episode.
Okay.
Jess, where can people find you?
I am at JHL Moon on Instagram. We'll just stick with that. A lot of my authors are moving off of Twitter and more onto Blue Sky. I do have a Blue Sky, but I haven't been on there since I got my invitation like a year and a half ago. So I don't need another. I think honestly, I think I'm fine with Instagram. Come find me if you want. I occasionally post things. You know, tis what tis. This comes out on my birthday.
It does. Happy birthday.
Thanks. I'm 41 now. I say when this comes out.
As far as I go, you can find me. I'm on social media. Instagram is probably the best place to interact with me. Chad J. Moon, where you can also interact with the podcast, the Pretty Little Podcast. We do have the YouTube channel.
And what is that?
That's youtube.com/ at the Pretty Little Podcast 69420.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, I hope each and every one of you has an easygoing day.